Welcome back to The Curious Yapper. I'm Madison, your host and favorite yapper. I'll give you a recap from this past week. On Monday was a big day for the Waggermans. Evan started his new classwork. He is going back to school. Don't know if I've shared that on the pod. So we've got Evan going back to school. He's getting into the groove, trying to figure out a normal routine. And right now he's taking some basics and then one class on ecology that he is interested in. I probably got the title of that class wrong. It is what it is. He's also learning Spanish, so I've been hearing different vocab words, and that's been a funny journey for this week. And taking chemistry and college algebra, something. So we're back, and Evan is diving into schoolwork, so that's been a big adjustment for him, for sure. Both of us. So that was Monday. He got to start his classes, and then I think I worked from home that day, and when I was done we got to go on a walk, and that was fun for him to be able to join right away instead of me wait for him to get off work. So that was cool. And then I spent a lot of time reading, and I think I'm gonna crush through some of my to-read list because Evan's gonna be doing studies and I enjoy reading, so why not fill it up with my fiction books? So one book that I had been reading is Mile High. It's a series, so I'm excited to read through the other stories of the series, and I ended up finishing that later in the week. Then the next day, Tuesday, I went on a walk with my friend, and it was good to catch up and move our bodies. I love a good walk and talk. I think I had finished an audiobook early last week. It was Unapologetically Ambitious, and it was interesting to hear the author talk about being ambitious in your personal life and not just in work. I feel like I said this last week. Maybe I did. Anyways, I got to listen to that audiobook and hear different things from the author's perspective. Then on Wednesday, we're getting halfway through the week, and I packed. We went on a trip getaway, and I got to pack for that, did some laundry for that, and then also went on a walk. And priorities, I was getting really close to being done with this book. I only had about 100 pages left, and so I knew I would have downtime to read. So the priorities were, let's get us a new book. So last minute on Wednesday, after I got back from my walk, I ran to the library that's really close by, and I picked up 2 books, and I have finished this one, One Golden Summer, Carly Fortune. This Onyx Storm I haven't started yet. It is the 3rd of a series, and that was my first fantasy romantasy book, and I am excited to read it. When I'm checking out books, these were also the first books that I got physically checked out at the library. I've been doing a lot of digital books. Libby, love Libby, all the holds. Also, I'm playing holds roulette right now because everything became available, so I'm trying to cram through some of those books. But these were my first books to actually physically check out of the library, so that was pretty fun and felt a little empowering to say, I need some entertainment for this trip. I'm gonna go stop at the library. That was really fun. So picked up those books and then got fully packed for the evening. That was great. Talking about the roulette of Libby, I have 2 audiobooks right now. I'm halfway through one of them. That one's called The Gap and the Gain. I've decided my audiobooks are going to be more the self-help and the building yourself, because it just sounds like a podcast instead of trying to follow a fiction book on audio. So The Gap and the Gain has been interesting so far, essentially framing everything in your life to be in the gain mindset, which is more positive and seeing challenges come ahead of you and saying, look at how far I've come. I've done all of these things. I'm capable of doing this. Versus when you get into the gap mindset, you're thinking, how am I going to do all of this? There's too much on my plate and yada, yada. I think there's a happy balance between the two. I do not believe in the toxic positivity or always spinning something into positive. It's actually a big trigger of mine. And so I need the reality of when challenges come up or when challenges arise, it's okay to acknowledge the challenge ahead of you. One tip the book talked about was setting a timer for 5 minutes. They talked about this in the relation to a soccer game, and a coach in the locker room would allow their players 5 minutes to kind of vent and be negative. And then after those 5 minutes were up, they were moving into the positivity. So that's been an interesting book and concept. I believe that you can change your perspective. I also will never discount the challenges and the struggles through life. So that is an audiobook that I'm also doing. So I've got 2 audiobooks that are in my queue right now. And if you know Libby, I'm trying to race against the clock because you only have 21 days. And so I'll finish The Gap in the Gain for sure. The other one is Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. Haven't started it yet. It's in my queue. And then I just started a thriller book today, and then an Abby Jimenez romance book is available to me, but I don't think I'm going to be able to check it out in time because I just have too many books. Great problem to have. Love that I have too many books. Anyways, I have plenty to do while Evan does his studies and lectures and classwork. So that's where I am on the books right now. Then Thursday, such a glorious day. I took a half day at work, so Evan and I hit the road and we were ready to go on our adventure to celebrate his new journey. And I'm also starting something myself. And it was such a clear, sunny day. I've been tracking these tulips. I followed specific accounts to make sure that we went on a weekend that they were in full bloom. We nailed it, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous drive. We got to see Rainier on our way up. Saw Mount Baker for the first time, saw the Cascades, the North Cascades, and just a beautiful, it was just beautiful, period, the end. When we arrived to our destination of the tulip farms, we went and the website said that it was 60 acres of tulips, rows and rows and rows of color, and just absolutely gorgeous. So we did a couple laps of walking through the tulips, got a couple photos. It's so interesting because I do enjoy getting my photo taken, and at the same time, I'm not as bold as other people that are just going with it and just posing and getting those shots and those angles. Oops. And capturing their memories. So I feel very comfortable to get up and close to the flowers. I feel a little weird to make a big scene about my photo being taken. So it was really fun, so beautiful, so glad that we timed it well, got us the tickets. Everything went really smoothly. It was a weekday, so it was less busy, but also it was busy because it was perfectly sunny, clear skies, could see Mount Baker from the fields. Just really, really, really pretty. There was also fields of daffodils as well, because that's an earlier flower to tulips, and just, I loved all the colors. I love color in general. They had main fields, just rows and rows, millions, well, not millions plural, million tulips. Evan looked it up, and they plant 1 million bulbs every year. That's a lot. And then towards the front was more like curated with patterns and mixing of tulips and different flowers. And so it was just really fun to walk through that and see all the beauty of flowers. And as you can tell, I love flowers and I love color. So I sent photos to my family, and my sister came back and she said, I think you're gonna have some more flowers to print for your wall. And that I believe as well. So really fun to capture those memories, and I just love flowers. They're just so cheery. So that was Thursday, and then we headed to our Airbnb got to relax a bit, and then zonked out. And the next day we woke up and it was Friday. It was so nice to wake up and not be going to work and have the time to do whatever we wanted to. And Evan found us a hike. He sent me 3 options. One was a hike that was maybe like 6 miles, but labeled hard because of the incline or the elevation gain. And then he sent me one that was over 9 miles with hard elevation gain, and then like an easier one. I was not going to pick the hardest one because I see those and I say, I don't really want to. But then I saw that it was going to, the destination was the lake, and I saw the pictures and I said, okay, I'm there. I am down to hike to beautiful places. If you tell me that all my efforts are going to lead to this glorious view and glorious destination, I'm there. But just picking it because it's longer and challenging elevation, I'm not there. That's not my vibe. But I did pick that one. And we were not super prepared. We're fine. But that was the most elevation gain I have done. It was 1,900 feet, I believe. And I want to do one in like 6 weeks that's about 2,800 or 2,900 elevation gain. And so I have about 6 weeks to try to get my endurance. So I think I'll be joining Evan to do some more stairs. Gotta do something to help because that was challenging. I did it. My body did it. Go body. Whoa. All of the up. And it's not just like up like stairs when you hike. It's up, it's uneven, so you're balancing. And then there were some ups that I had to put my whole body into to try to get up. It was not just a stair step. So when I was already tired, yeah, that was exhausting. The lake was beautiful. I took some breaks. But yeah, it was really nice to be out in nature. It kicked my butt in a good way and also not a good way. We were both tired. So still good to be out in nature, good to do all that thing. And then when you're in smaller towns, I was trying to find places for us to eat, and I like to go to a place where I can get a sandwich or a diner kind of thing. Well, those places close earlier naturally because they're open for breakfast and things. So it's challenging to try to find a restaurant that both Evan and I would enjoy. And then Evan said, let's go to Costco. And I said, down. I am so down for that. When you're just exhausted from hiking. Costco was delicious. I got a hot dog and a slice of pizza. Delicious. And then for dessert, I got their vanilla chocolate twist, and then I got a cookie, and I was putting some of that on the delicious. So that was fun. I would do it again. Recommend. In this economy, more date nights at Costco. We were starting to joke about that, but like, are we joking? In this economy, more date nights at Costco. So then we made it back. I did end up finishing my book. Yay. So that was the day I finished that, and that was fantastic. I didn't expect to enjoy the book so much. Made me cry, made me laugh. They talked about some real life stuff of trauma and family dynamics, and I enjoyed it very much. That wrapped up Friday, and then Saturday, trigger warning if you don't want to listen and go past this. Saturday was the 3rd anniversary of my student that committed suicide and passed away, and it's in my journal every year. And there's things that remind me of him. As a class, that's when I was teaching. As a class, Marigolds turned into something that represented him in a beautiful way. And I've personally done so much healing in 3 years. The fact that I can talk about this without crying and breaking down is a sign of healing. So marigolds and the color purple are things that represent him. When I went to the memorial service, his little sister also shared that butterflies represent him as well. So when I see those things, I get to see marigolds in nature here, see some butterflies. It's just little hints and remembering that. So similar to what, not similar, but relating to what I said at the beginning, talking about the Gap and the Gain book, I will never discourage, or discourage is not the right word. I will never discount the struggles that anyone goes through in life. Life is challenging. There isn't a rule book for life, especially when you become an adult. There's no rules. There's no pamphlet to do it right. So if you find yourself in moments of low seasons, surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth, who lift you up, and get professional help. Life is hard, and don't try to go at it alone. I fully believe in therapy. So, 3rd anniversary, I remember getting the phone call after my community band practice. I got a phone call at like 9 p.m. at night. No. Yeah, I think so. That was crazy. I remember walking into our town home and telling Evan, and that was very challenging, shocking to find out who had seen the kiddo the day before in the hallway, and it did a lot of, this is just my story, not me taking away from everything, from everybody else's experience. I definitely brought the topic up to therapy multiple times, and some of the narrative is always like, what could I have done? Why didn't I see it? Those kinds of things. And ultimately, that's not anyone's place, and we can be there to support people, but ultimately you're not responsible for the choices that other people make. And so yeah, that was really challenging to go through personally, and then as a community in our music program was really challenging. The next day at school, it was not official, and the student was just absent while the family decided how they were going to approach it and announce it. It also left a big question mark for students who were looking to me to know how to navigate and know the truth. So that was also another layer that was really challenging. And then finally, the next day, it was knowledge for everybody. And that was not the day I would have seen his class. So we went 3 days before I got to actually see his class. And by the time we were the very last class where the counselors were in there trying to help students process and all of that. And after they left, we just kept it real with our students, and we ended up having an ice cream party because he loved snacks and loved the socials. So we did it in our own way. Got to color, got to talk, got to share memories, and have ice cream sundaes. And that was really special and really hard. So that was the 3rd anniversary yesterday. And it was also the end of Evan and I's trip. So we got to sleep in and we headed home. It was really nice to get away and remember that life is so much more than just the Monday through Friday grind of work. And I have to continue to remind myself that as projects and due dates and deadlines really influence my day-to-day and my mental load outside of work. So yesterday we made it back home and Evan was catching up on some work because it was an interesting time to be away after he just started school. So he was trying to cram at the beginning of the week so that we could go have a quality time weekend away together. And so when we got back, I started reading the one Golden Summer, and I ended up finishing that this morning. And I got a text yesterday afternoon from friends in the area, and they said, hey, we're thinking about having people over for fire pit, hot dogs and s'mores. Do you want to come? And I said, that's my dream. So that was really nice to go last night and just chat with people and get to be around a fire. So that was nice. And again, I'm making strides towards the community I want to build and have in our new home. And that felt good to get the spontaneous invite and to be thought of and included. And then today, more sleeping in. And once I finally got up and on the couch, I was dozing off multiple times. So I was still trying to sleep, I guess. I finished the book. I started another thriller book on my digitally with Libby. And it's just been that kind of day. And trying to brace myself for a busy week. People talk about Sunday scaries. Try not to be scared, but I know that there's a big week coming ahead. Not even for any particular reason, just it's busy and hard to always be fast-paced. So, thanks for the Abscess Yappers. I hope you have a great week. Don't do life alone. Find the people, find the professional help. Do what you can to create the life that you want. Life is beautiful. It has flowers, it has tulips, it has nature. Go outside and see it for yourself. Bye, Yappers.